heartbreaking moments on paternity court.
I need my mama. I need my mama. That's all I need. Only she knows who she slept with. Only she knows who she was with.
You are not his father.
Come on, sit down.
Come on, baby.
Just 6 months ago, this daddy's girl found that her whole 33 years of existence had been a total sham, as her father has come forward denying her out of the blue. And we all know when such a bomb drops, paternity feud is at hand.
A couple weeks before Christmas, just telling him how I felt about him not being in his grandchildren's lives and how he's not being the father that we need since we lost our mother at a young age. And that was his response, is the reason why I haven't been in your life is because he didn't answer any of my questions.
That is not true.
Obviously, this revelation was too much for the plaintiff to take, while Mr. Esau claims that doubt elephant has always been part of their lives, and now he couldn't take it anymore, which led to Miss Jasmine being treated as slack. Here's an insight into how her days went by after the revelation.
Tell the court, what has this 6 months been like?
I've been throwing up every day. I have anxiety. I have an autistic son that I'm trying to raise. Ever since, I can't eat. I'm losing weight. I'm just torn apart. He's just trying to kill me, I guess. I don't know.
Honey.
Of heartbreak.
Oh, honey.
Well, wasn't that sad to watch? Anyway, the defendant clarified that Miss Jasmine's deceased mother was already pregnant when they met. Doing the math in his mind, the daddy was sure Miss James was not his daughter.
Found out she was pregnant. Were you told?
She told me, yes. She told me she was pregnant, and I'm like, okay. You're 18, you're like, okay. Like, wow. You don't really know how to really react, but I was like, okay, wow, she's pregnant. The doctor told her how far along she was, and doing the math, it was, before me, So it wasn't like she was cheating on me.
Well, the daddy wasn't the only secret keeper, but Miss Jasmine's granny was also playing along. She told the court about how she helped her son determine if the mother of Miss Jasmine is pregnant by him or not. Yet the couple agreed to get married and have another child.
She and her mom came to my house with this piece of paper that had. So when I looked at this piece of paper and when I talked with him later, I asked him, when was he first intimate? He told me that it was right before Valentine's Day. And based on what he told me,
So the brother wasn't aware that his dad is not the biological father of Miss Jasmine. What's going on? Why keep it a secret if the father had to reveal it eventually? Well, now there was only one way to find the truth: the DNA results.
Mr. Esau, you are not the father. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What do you need?
I need my mama. I need my mama. That's all I need. Only she knows who she slept with. Only she knows who she was with.
Facing the dilemma of his child's paternity, Mr. Woody comes to paternity court as his ex-girlfriend, Miss Wilson, recently confessed he wasn't the only man she slept with during the conception window.
I have a 3-year-old daughter already, so when I found out I was having a son, I was excited because what man doesn't want to have a junior? I got plans made, I'm ready to go play baseball and basketball with them and, all the stuff a father's supposed to do with his son, so I'm just ready, so I'm ready to be a father to a boy now.
So you're already having the visions.
Mr. Woody already had a daughter who always wanted a junior, so when the new baby arrived, the guy was excited to be the father of a dream child. But soon, fate took him south, as Mama had stepped out of the relationship.
He was in an apartment complex, with his daughter in a stroller. And he said, "You're cute." And I was like, "Oh, you're cute too." So we walked to the store and we walked back to my friend's house. We had intercourse.
Was he the only man you were intimate with?
No, Your Honor.
How many other men were there?
Just one.
At least the baby mama was honest about meddling with other men during the time she was physically with Mr. Woody. But it has led them to a roller coaster of emotions. Look how even Mr. Woody found out about the pregnancy.
She sent me a message on Facebook, Your Honor.
Okay.
I guess she couldn't find me, so she sent me a message on Facebook.
No.
So I hope you know we're getting a DNA test when the baby's born, and I'm hitting you up with this child support. I'll see you in court. That's your first? You're gonna be a father?
Hello.
Being all responsible, Mr. Woody was at the hospital and even has his name on the birth certificate. But what led to the doubt? Judge Lake had to put the Sherlock hat on. Imagine the hurt one can go through one day thinking you're the father, and the next day you're not. Judge Lake developed the paternity maze in front of the courtroom and explained why the stakes are high for Mr. Woody.
The next day, you don't know if you're the father. Then you back in town thinking you're the father. Then the guy comes down the street and says you're not the father. Then you disappear, you think you're not the father. Now you're the father to be the father, and you sign the birth certificate. Now you leave the hospital, the doubt starts setting in again.
Yes.
If this wasn't enough, now the baby mama's family said that the child looks like the ex-boyfriend. Damn! But amidst all the confusion, paternity courts exist for a reason. With enough talking, it was time for the revelation of the child's fate, concealed in that oh-so-familiar envelope.
Mr. Woody, you are not his father. Jerome, will you please have her sit down?
Come up here and sit down.
According to Mr. Bosley's mother, he made a young and dumb mistake by signing the birth certificate of the defendant's 3-month-old child. Mr. Bosley's mother says there are 2 other possible fathers. Let's see how Judge Lake resolves this paternity dilemma.
I feel like my son made a terrible decision by signing a birth certificate. We need to know because I don't want my son to have to go through life wondering if this is his child or not.
So you feel like you gotta save your son from a mistake he made?
I do.
Well, now what's done is done, but Mommy wasn't the only one to blame. As Ms. Jackson testified to the court, the potential father just could not get enough. And after being only 2 weeks together, they were under one roof.
You meet and you almost immediately start a sexual relationship.
Correct, Your Honor. At first, I didn't believe it because I heard it once before.
Because you know that's what men will say just to get you to lay down with them.
Yes, Your Honor.
They make it sound like they want to have a family.
Yes, Your Honor.
But they saying it to everybody.
Above all, Ms. Jackson confessed to doing something awful outside her house, while Mr. Bosley watched from the window. The twist didn't just end there. Mr. Bosley's mother also claimed that the baby mama hid the pregnancy for about 4 months.
I did have sex with one other person that was there at the job, and that was the person that came to the house. The other person.
This is a mess. This is a mess.
Yeah.
How many people you gonna sleep with at the same job? When are you working?
That's why I'm here.
After knowing the bitter truth, Judge Lake identified a bigger problem in Miss Jackson's life that runs deep. She asked Miss Jackson why such behavior, and some more heartbreaking facts came to light.
And it hurts. It hurts. I don't want my son to grow up like that without his dad in the picture because I know how it feels and I have my daddy issues. Growing up is hard.
I understand what you're saying.
Baby Daddy also explained what further exacerbated his doubts. It was that he found Snapchat messages on Miss Jackson's cell phone and saw another dude's picture that resembled the child he was told is his.
I was on Snapchat, basically. I said, he looked just like my son. I'm like, what? Like,
He sent me that picture, and immediately, that's not your son. This made me think twice.
Was Miss Jackson interested in a sexual relationship with you?
yes, Your Honor, she was trying to have sex.
Now, there's only one thing left that will clarify the entire situation. Yep, you know what it is, those DNA results. And Judge Lake is always ready to solve paternity feuds. So, let's hear it.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Bosley.
Mr. Benning's case is back with the same old pickle. You know Mama was too promiscuous to be trusted, and her dealings have left the plaintiff in a sore place. He can't believe that his daughter might be someone else's child.
I always wanted the daughter, and I promised I was going to take care of her and treat her like my mother took care of me.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
I've always stuck by with that.
So having a daughter has been so important to you.
So important. I waited for this.
However, Mr. Benning explained that he has always been there for the child and loves his daughter to death no matter what. However, what ruined this perfect life was when he received the news of him not being the father from Miss Bodine in the labor room.
And I received a text telling me that the child that I'm waiting to come.
And so you get the text and you know who it's from.
Yes.
What do? You can't say anything to Miss Bodine while she's in labor, can you?
Kept going and I signed her birth certificate. I pushed through it. I wanted my daughter and I wasn't letting anybody take her from me.
But you were just too excited and you said, I'm not gonna let anybody steal my joy today.
Right.
Even after that relationship, Mr. Benning signed the birth certificate. However, the baby mama said that she had that dude tested, hence she was sure. But Mr. Benning said he wasn't the only man she cheated with. Sounds funny to me.
You still build the relationship, you still have a doubt?
Quite a few. First off, the DNA test doesn't mean anything considering the fact that she's cheated on me with more than one person. There could be other guys out there, that's just one.
That's the plot twist.
Anytime that something is wrong, as soon as we start to argue, you're not her father.
Mr. Benning further said that every time they get into an argument, he gets to hear, "You're not the father." This woman's just so mean. To make everything even worse, he claims he gets calls and texts from strangers claiming paternity of his children. That's traumatic.
You know, there's a text message on my phone saying, she's not yours. There's people calling me on my phone saying, I'm her dad. You know, it's constant. After a certain time, you can't just ignore it anymore. It just keeps happening. It's hard to ignore.
I know what I'm saying and I know what I prove. You have your daughter or not. I'm here to prove today that you're the father.
Well, lady, if you're here today to prove Mr. Benning is the father, let's just get done with it. With the envelopes being set on the stage and the courtroom racing hot, Judge Lake erases the paternity doubts to mend this shattered couple.
You are not the father. I'm very sorry.
In this episode, Miss Quiller, a Georgia woman, thinks the father of her 4-year-old daughter was murdered in a home invasion. She brings the potential grandmother to court in hopes to end her quest for paternity.
We were really just friendly. It was one night that I came home from the club, just that particular night the alcohol in me was talking. It was a one-time thing. It happened one time and we socialized, but we weren't that close, not to have relations with one another, and that particular night we did.
Given that Miss Quiller has already tested 2 other men for being the biological father, her last pin is on Miss Briggs's son, and she believes her daughter deserves to know who her father is.
You say you got 2 other men tested.
Yes, ma'am.
And today you feel like it's your last hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I feel like Nora deserves to know who her father is. I had the opportunity to meet my father when I was 17. We have each other's number and we still don't conversate with one another. I feel like Melissa deserves to know if she has a grandchild or not.
Miss Quiller told the court it was just a one-night stand. She met the potential father through his mother, Miss Briggs, and they were acquaintances at best, where Miss Quiller had just been released from the nest of her mother at the time.
This wasn't a relationship that continued on.
No, ma'am.
Ms. Briggs, do you have any recollection at all of Miss Quiller?
Yes, I do. She used to sit on my porch and talk to me all the time. We used to talk about just being in the neighborhood, being women, you know, nothing.
Being promiscuous, Miss Quiller was hesitant in explaining her bedtime stories, but the court soaked in a spiral of emotions after listening to what Miss Briggs had to say about the night she lost her son.
$3 in a pack of cigarettes what they killed my son for. When I showed up to the house where they killed my son his blood was still wet.
And then in a chance encounter, run into this young woman?
Yes, Your Honor.
She doesn't know your son has passed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Briggs knew Miss Quiller for about something now. Holding back her tears, she was already convinced that her son might be the baby's father. And with a storm of emotion in her heart, her voice cracked while giving her testimony.
I just knew that she was my granddaughter. I had been dreaming about her for days. Showing me this little girl in my dreams, and I was like, okay, what does this mean? And a few days later, here she is.
Really?
And I touched her. It's like you're sticking your finger in the socket and my whole body was electrified. If she's not mine, I still love her.
Miss Quiller also wanted nothing more other than the truth to be revealed, whereas Miss Briggs' daughter disagreed with what the potential grandmother thought, and they had their concern to confess.
Me and my brother looks exactly like twins, and everybody tells us that we look exactly like twins, and I feel like she looks nothing like us. But
so when you look at baby Nora, when you look at Nora, you don't feel like she looks anything like you?
No.
Or your brother?
No, I feel like she don't look nothing like us.
After Miss Quiller admitted that there are no other potential fathers, it was time for Judge Lake to cut to the chase and end the emotional roller coaster both parties had been feeling. Here's how those results went.
Miss Briggs, you are not her grandmother.
You know what?